We have two separate recordings because the one is a planning and zoning hearing. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Austin? Okay, it's just started, so go ahead and
Lance,
explain that.
before you jump into that, I see the Swan Valley mayor's here. If we could maybe take care of what you wanted to talk about first, if that's okay. If that's okay with you, Chair?
Sure.
Okay.
Who is
Mayor Hampton?
Yes, I'm on.
okay? Well, how can we help you?
Well, I was asked to join this meeting. I guess we've been having some issues with Stoltenberg Drive. And I don't know. I don't know if anybody here in your office has gotten telephone calls from some of the residents that drive up and down. They were wondering if there's any way, and I could only assume that once this road kind of dries out, that it will be graded to alleviate some of the, I don't want to say sinkholes, but.
So I'll jump in here and talk about Stoltenberg Lane. We have received quite a few calls from residents in that area at Road and Bridge about how rutted Stoltenberg Lane has got. We did investigate a little bit. We also talked with the previous grader operator who actually lives along this road. Yeah, and he basically told our new operators, like, don't touch it, don't do anything with it until it dries out, because if you touch it when it's wet, it'll just turn into a bog hole and you'll never reach the bottom of it. So he has lightly graded it, but to fix the soft spots would have to do what we've been doing on either 115th or Industrial and over excavate, bring in pit run, put in geotextile fabric, and put in a new section of roadway, and that is far beyond routine maintenance.
Mayor, have you seen the agreement we have with City of Swan Valley for maintaining the roads?
I have seen, if you've got a newer copy, I've seen what we've done in the past. I do have a new city clerk for the city of Swan Valley, so I'm doing a little training in that department.
Because I think what Lance is referring to, is the agreement we had. I think it's in exchange for the gas tax revenues that come to the city of Irwin. As long as that stays somewhere close, it usually doesn't quite cover all the cost of routine maintenance.
Correct.
It definitely doesn't cover the costs of rebuilding or constructing roads, which are obligations of the city. So, that's one issue you may want to get a little more familiar with. If this road does need a rebuild, it might be a good way of discussing it with Lance. Or, there's two possibilities. They could bill you the hourly rate for whatever it would cost to reconstruct that, or you could put it out to a private contractor, which we do on some of our other county roads too.
Okay.
Okay.
I will certainly let the people know that live down that road, because hopefully they'll stop calling you and they can call me.
And we appreciate that.
Not a problem. I appreciate the invite to this meeting.
Yeah, that's refreshing.
Mr. Chair. Question. Lance, do you know, are they on the schedule for the dust treatment on that road? Is that part of the maintenance plan, or is that something that
so dust control would be part of the dust control plan, and I have not been involved with too much this year, whether the city of Swan Valley has decided to pay for dust control or not.
We're going to go with what we did last year. I'm trying to get my head around the dust control abatement. And I mean, we do want it, but I haven't had enough time to go through with exactly if we want to add more. So if we could do what we did last year, I would certainly go with that.
Okay, I don't know if you were able to send in the application again. I believe it's supposed to be due May 1st, but I can check with our secretary here and see if that was received.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
Yep, thank you, Mayor Hampton.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a good day.
Okay, Lance, now, is Darcy still on?
Darcy's still here. Let me share my screen a little bit here and refresh you about where this is. This is in right adjacent to part of the city of Irwin, further in Swan Valley. Here's Highway 26. Here is Sherwood Drive. And when it was platted, this dark line is where the platted right of way was done for Sundial Estates. The other half of the platted right of way is actually within the city of Irwin. That city of Irwin portion and beyond there is something that we kind of absorbed the right of way, but we didn't feel like we could go on to private property on the other side of the road. I'll pull up another drawing here that shows Sherwood Drive with a Google Earth image underneath it and how we planned out to have the road and the turnaround at the end of it. You will see that the turnaround goes more onto the left-hand side of the road on the screen than on the right hand. We pushed it as close to that right-of-way mark for the city of Irwin as we could, but that didn't give us a full turnaround. So when we constructed it, we pushed the turnaround over onto the parcel that's shown, which is Darcy Lagana's property. So she has some concern about the portion that is on her property and whether or not the county will require that to be deeded to the county or not.
I remember this discussion, and Darcy was going to go back and talk to her father. Is that what you're wanting to do, is kind of bring us up to speed?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So when I went back and talked to my father, I basically just need to know what the options are to ask him. I was going to bring him on with me, but we can't get in the same place at the same time. We're always in two different places. So I figured I'd better come back and handle it. So what are our options as far as this goes? Like, because that's what we were going to do, is have my father sit down with Lance and talk about the options, but I just don't know what they are to give him.
Lance, do you want to kind of go through what some of the options might be?
Well, as I talked with Darcy earlier, I'm not exactly sure what type of option she's looking at. So when we talked earlier, she wanted something from the commissioners saying that the commissioners would never take ownership of the property that's within this turnaround and cul-de-sac. As far as road and bridge is concerned, in order to plow this, in order to maintain it, we needed the turnaround at the end, and this is the only way we could get the turnaround, is put a majority of that bulb onto Darcy's property. And so that's what we did as far as maintaining Sherwood. If Sherwood becomes a private road, then the county is not going to maintain it, and somebody else privately could make that turnaround probably a much less, because they would have probably a lot smaller equipment needs. And so the bulb out could essentially disappear at that point. But as long as it's a public road maintained by the county, I don't see that we have a lot of choice in how the road looks, how it functions. I don't think that deeded ownership is anything that at least I'm inclined to go after. And so it's still their property. It just serves to function the maintenance of the road to get back to the property.
And so my concerns with those two things and my questions and kind of weighing all of this out is, if it stays as a county road and you have that turnaround, can we get documented that the county never intends to take that property, that they never intend to take that section? Because even right now, our well is within the right distance from where it needs to be from the road, but it's not within the right distance from where it needs to be of the turnaround, for instance. So that section needs to be part of my property to even keep me legal. But that's beside the point. But just knowing and getting it documented that the county can't come in 20 years and say, well, we've been maintaining it for this long, and so this is now ours. And if that is going to be the case, then can we make it a private road, and where does that start? And I'm sorry that that we got to this point, but I was assuming if you go back to the original plat that you were looking at, Lance, can you click back to that?
I can go back to let me try this again here. So there's the original plat.
Yeah, so when we discussed it, I was thinking that it was going to be like Gildea. So I never had any idea that it was going to go that far into it. And when I drove out to the road, I was so excited that it was built and thankful. And I'm thankful that you guys are going to maintain it. But I was concerned when it was over on our side. So as long as we're not going to lose that property and we can get it documented, everybody can walk away with forgiveness.
Who owns the unplatted property at the top?
I can look that up. Let me try to get our parcel viewer going here.
Are you talking about the one? It's not unplatted. There's somebody on it.
It is platted, but it's platted within the city of Irwin.
Yep. So it belongs to a woman named Sylvia. And that's how when I drove out to look at the road, Sylvia, I was like, oh my gosh, I looked at her and I said, they built this onto my property. And she said, oh, you deeded that over to the county. And I was like, what? No, I didn't. So that was her assumption at the point. She was just ready to give my property away too.
Go back to the original plat.
So I'll go back to I just found the property is listed under Wadsworth Family Trust. Is the private property on the other side. So let me go back to the original plat here. So that would be right up here.
Okay, where the road stubs out, where the road ends, Sherwood Drive.
Here?
Who owns the property right above that, where the road anticipated extending?
There it's showing as Dale Klobos.
Oh, no. You can't go that direction. You can't keep going straight.
Why?
There's a huge ditch and large landscape change right there that there's no way that you can keep going forward.
Let me try to share this other screen with you and kind of show you the parcel viewer, what it looks like. So this is Sherwood. The darker gray is the city of Irwin. This is Wadsworth Family Trust. This is Wadsworth Family Trust. This is Klobos, Dale Klobos. And so what Darcy is saying, there's a great big dip right through here. And the road probably can't continue onward just because of how these parcels are showing and how they're deeded. If they came back and tried to redo something, there may be a slim possibility in the future of Sherwood continuing, but it's highly unlikely.
Is there a possibility of getting a turnaround easement at the end of that, where it was platted to go into that property, or a portion of it?
There may be a possibility of doing something like that, but we have never approached the Wadsworth Family Trust to do that.
We're just talking options, and if you did the turnaround there beyond, I guess recognizing that the original plat can't go through, is it buildable before you hit that dip?
No,
I
no,
don't
no,
think
no.
it is buildable because we took the road as far as we could, and where we actually stopped. Let me try this other screen here. Can you see
There's even a
that?
large fence. There's a large fence and there's like, the ditch is huge. I mean, it's a lot
So
deeper than
the
it looks.
ditch is right through here, and we took the turnaround as close to where it started dropping off into that ditch as we could without making it harder for us to have a flat turnaround.
Okay, I'm just trying to look at options, because the discussion we had before, we talked about a couple of options. One would be to the city of Irwin to get part of that turnaround on their side of the road. And then
Part of it is on their side of the road.
Right.
The center line goes right down. And so all of this is in the city of Irwin jurisdiction.
I understand that, but to be able to get a turnaround to maintain it, see, because there's two options. One, it becomes a private road. The other, if it's a public road, to get public maintenance, we have to have the safety and the turnarounds for road maintenance. As far as your question, can we make a commitment? We'd have to check with legal counsel. I'm not sure we can circumvent what the statute is on maintenance. And we could get a little more information on that, but it's my understanding that if we maintain it for a certain amount of time, you don't own the property, but you have a prescriptive easement there because we've been maintaining it, which would preclude any building or, affect any future setbacks. But we can run that legal counsel.
Okay,
So,
if there's no way around that, I don't want to keep it there because that's just not, it's not losing that part of the property is kind of a deal
Right.
breaker.
well, then the other option would be to visit with Lance and Steve, because you'd have to designate that a private, public right-of-way, privately maintained. Is that correct, Steve?
Yes,
That's what we would normally do, yeah.
the only other, do have one other option that's possible for consideration. Even though we say that it's not likely that the road would extend, we have on the road just west of this, we have a temporary turnaround in anticipation that the road could extend. I think we have some of the same similar terrain issues on it. I don't know why we couldn't exercise the option of saying it's a temporary turnaround, not requiring the full dedication of it, just the easement at this time, and put the smaller diameter cul-de-sac similar to what we've done on the other cul-de-sac.
That was done a long time ago, and in order to maintain it today, we need the bigger cul-de-sac, Steve.
Well, what diameter cul-de-sac are you putting on the temporary turnarounds that we're putting in on the other subdivisions?
the temporary turnarounds are all the size that we put on Sherwood Drive. They're all 50-foot radius diameter or 100-foot diameter cul-de-sacs.
Is what diameter are you proposing on this one? I can't tell.
It's real close to 100-foot diameter. So it's just exactly the same as what we
Okay.
require in any other subdivision.
Okay, I was thinking it was the 120, but okay.
No,
But if you do consider it though as a temporary turnaround, you could do it with the easement without requiring the dedication.
we didn't require the dedication. We didn't require any dedication when we built the turnaround. It was, we felt that it was just a need in order to maintain the road. So we did not require any dedication. We did not require any easement. We felt it was understood that in order to get the turnaround there, it was going to extend into this property some.
I think we understand enough about it that we probably ought to get with legal counsel and, look at our options, understanding that there's no way you want that to be publicly maintained. If it becomes a prescriptive easement, we need to find out what that means and then get back to you and see if there's any options legally. Because I don't think any of us are attorneys. And I think we better check with our legal counsel and then get back with you, Darcy.
Okay, and that's kind of what I'm saying is that I'd like to know what each of those things means. If it's a private road, where does that private maintenance begin? Is it at the end of my property line? Is it all the way at the beginning of Sherwood? You know what I mean?
It would be all the way at the intersection down here.
Okay. And that would be something that we as property owners would all have to agree on, or I'm the only one maintaining that? Do you see what I mean? Like, I feel like this was done and now I'm having to figure out how to mitigate it,
Well,
but I don't have enough information.
now the road needs to be up to a county standard for it to be maintained. I don't know if it's ever accepted because it wasn't built to the county standard, and that's part of what this turnaround is. So let us, before we get too deep into the technical, let us check with legal counsel.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chair, if I could, Darcy, if you were on when I bumped the mayor of Swanville up to talk about him, I apologize, I didn't see anybody else on, and I certainly didn't mean to move him up in front of your business. Are there any other, what accesses are there to Sherwood Road to other properties? Like from what's on our screen, I can't see where there's any other driveways or.
So there wasn't any other access, but unfortunately, the reason that I think we're having to hash this out is we had a developer and commissioners that put things in writing years ago that nobody ever followed through with. And that's exactly why I want to make sure that all of this is straightened out now. So there wasn't any other access, but this was platted and the developer decided to stop building. And he gave money to the county and vacated his responsibility. So the county took a bond and said, we'll go ahead and finish it. And then they never did.
And that's something we're gonna have to look into. I'm not aware of that.
Any knowledge of that, Lance? Sorry.
So there was an agreement, and we talked about this back in 2019 with Darcy about how to do this and why the Sherwood Road had never been built. At that time, the commissioners felt that there was enough burden of proof that said the county had received, I think it was like $1,400 to go and put gravel on Sherwood Drive. And at one time there was some gravel on Sherwood, but it was never developed to a county standard. And so last summer, we actually constructed Sherwood Drive from the intersection and including the roundabout at the end. Basically, it was in May and June of last year that we constructed it to the county standard.
Now, here's the thing that I want you guys to hear from me, because I feel like going back to legal counsel, you may come back and just push back against me, and I feel like that's making this worse. I'm very thankful that they understood that burden of proof, and it took me a long time to come up, search through all those documents and find the information and say, look, this was supposed to be here. And I was very thankful that you guys agreed to build it and all of those things. I was very thankful that you were going to bring it up to county standard. I just was shocked when I walked out there and it was taking part of my property without anybody ever communicating with me. And I think Lance thought that he did, but nobody said anything. And so that may have been a miscommunication, and I'm willing to forgive that and overlook it, but please don't go to legal counsel and come back and just push back harder and make this hard on me. Like, let's just find an amicable way to just make sure I don't lose my property, please.
Well, I would encourage you not to assume what we're going to do till we get there. So, yeah, we'll dig into this. Anything else? Okay, thanks, Darcy. What else have you got, Lance?
So I sent a cost estimate for BST over to you this morning on 101st North. I don't know if any of you were able to look at that yet, but it's pretty close to the numbers I rattled off last week in the meeting with the 101st homeowners. That was based on January prices of 2021, and it shows between $166,000 and $186,000 per mile for a BST treatment.
The question I've got, we're doing Birch Creek because the numbers were higher than that. Did we ever look and find out where 115th North is in the priority, assuming we just follow the regular pattern, and as soon as it qualifies, or work out something, because usually when they contribute something, it helps move it up in the priority. Where are they now compared to the other projects?
So because we redid that based on new information, and it would put it near the top of the list because of how many homes it was on there. But the latest counts I have on that road were in 2016. So it is near the top of the list from what we had.
Because that's the thing, if we're gonna, make them pay part of it and they're right near the top of the list anyway, that's kind of going contrary to the what we've done on the others, like Birch Creek. Can we get an updated traffic count?
I'll try to get an updated traffic count. It's on the list to get this year, but we haven't got any traffic counts out yet.
What would you propose as far as cost share from those landowners? Is it typically a 50%, or what do you?
It depends on the situation, and I started thinking about that afterwards when I found out we're doing Birch Creek, because Birch Creek waited until they met the warrants, and then it becomes part of our regular expenditure. That's why I want to see if these guys are next in line. They may have to wait a year or two if they don't want to contribute. But if it's next in line, if we stick with the regular policy, then we update that. The county up. Yeah.
So when I say near the top of the line, so we've got Old Irwin Road in Swan Valley that's higher ranked. 65th West was higher ranked, and then it was 101st North.
65th West, isn't that the one that we're rebuilding with that?
No, 65th West is the gravel portion down near, I-15. 'Cause there's 2 miles of gravel road south of 49th South until it ties on with essentially where it gets back on the High 15. And that stretch of road had more traffic by a little bit, and had 16 houses on it.
Joe Max had out there, he's been selling, they've sold a lot of that for homes.
Well, why don't we get updated numbers and see where that puts us on the priority list, and then we can talk to them.
Yeah.
Lance, and that price quote that you gave, is that labor also or just materials?
Labor, equipment, and materials.
How much was this, the materials alone?
Yeah, wasn't it one of the things Lance had talked about, or we could
Yeah,
ask, just let them buy the materials and.
Yeah, but first we need to find out if that's on the list where we would do it normally, or if,
Right.
you know, they want to wait 65th West. We just need to see what the current numbers are, where they end on the list, and then we can talk to them if they want it a little quicker. You know, there may be a way of getting a cost share. I hate to have them do a cost share if they're
Up on
on
the
top of the
list,
list, you know.
Well, that's thoughtful of you.
Well, it's fair.
Yeah.
Looks like labor's a small part of it, isn't it, Lance?
So just added up the labor out of all of the labor on the first shot is by far the most. I'm coming up with about $66,000 of material only out of that $166,000 total cost. So the labor on the first shot is about 35,000. The labor on the second shot is 6,000, and labor on the third shot is about 6,000.
What's the total materials?
That's what, about 66,000 was the total materials.
My recollection is that's how we had done the others, where we did where they paid for the materials and we did labor on some of the other roads.
And I don't have any recollection of that because we haven't done any of that since I've been here.
I'm sure that's on several of them. I don't remember of any of them really off the top of my head that we made them pay for the labor where it was an existing dedicated public road right of way.
But then the other thing to consider, you know, you've got several other users there that put the, you know, prior to getting there, what kind of a prorated share do you do if some of the other landowners ahead don't want it? So I think the first thing, let's just find out where it sits on the priority list. If you get a new traffic count up there that shows it's moved up, let's take a look at it.
Okay. I will get a new traffic count up there as soon as I can.
Because either way, it's not going to happen.
I wanted to ask you about that road of Darcy's. So the county did not have permission to build, is that all built on her property?
So it's not all built on her property. And I showed her the same map that I showed you today. And at the time, she was okay with it. I can share that back with you here.
So Lance, I'm still a little confused as to why it's pushed off to that side. Did Irwin not, the city of Irwin not want?
They didn't plan it for a turnaround. They just, and other than doing a taking in the city of Irwin, which I'm not sure we can do. You know.
Well, yeah, but.
So when this was platted, this black line here, this side is Bonneville County and the other side is the city of Irwin.
Right.
And we essentially absorbed the right of way that was in the city of Irwin, but we didn't feel like we could leave the right of way of the city of Irwin.
Okay, did anybody ask the city of Irwin? I don't know if they even have the same mayor as when this was started. This is in their area of impact, right? It's
So
bordering-
we made some initial inquiries of the city of Irwin when this was happening, and at the time, they weren't interested in doing anything on their side.
So can we go back to, you're telling me that Darcy gave you the go-ahead?
She gave us the go-ahead to go and build it after I said, okay, there's gonna be more of this turnaround on your property than the other, because we can't cross into private property without their permission on the other side.
I'm surprised that we don't get that in writing when we approach on somebody's land that much. Is that typically not the practice to get it in writing?
I think you're right, it should be.
You know, this was an unusual circumstance because she was forcing the city to build this road for her because she didn't want to build it. And this is the only way that it was going to happen. It's like, okay, if we're going to be forced into building this road for essentially Darcy, we're going to say, here's the plan, here's what we're willing to do, and go forth. And that's why I didn't get it in writing from Darcy, because she was forcing the county's hand and saying, you have to build this road for me.
$1,400 for gravel?
That agreement, I think, predated me,
Yeah.
and so.
It was in the 70s.
See, and
Who was
that's,
the developer? Did Clayton Senior?
I don't know, but that's where some of these we've worked with them on.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did force the county's hand on that, so now she's got a very well-constructed road at our expense, but doesn't want to.
Doesn't want to let us turn around.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, why do we plow it? Is there any properties that access it back there?
No, because it's a public road, and she wanted
Oh, yeah, but I mean,
public maintenance.
we have a lot of public roads we don't plow. So
It'll be,
I'm not arguing, I don't understand.
that you can have a public right-of-way privately maintained.
Right.
And she did understand she's shifted a little on this.
Her dad shifted her.
Dad's got a
Yeah.
thorn under his saddle over.
So I think we
trucks on
need to
it.
check with Scott and see if there's any way we can give her that assurance.
As
So why
a
can't we
temporary.
Call it a temporary,
Yeah.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that might be a solution, but let's just find out and make sure.
And if it's okay
We
with you
don't-
guys, I'm gonna go drive down that and have a look at what it looks like.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's,
It's just one of the many issues where the Ammon, I kind of think if Irwin had a mayor is interested in moving forward, as Swan Valley now does, they might participate. I don't know. So no.
well,
Sometimes it's bad when you get what you ask for.
more mayors.
Your wife didn't tell you that, did she?
All right, hey, thanks.
Can you see this on the screen?
If I get close enough, yeah.
I'm trying to make it big enough. So here's the Irwin city limits right here, the right of way. Their right of way goes to where this red line is.
Right.
And then from here over is Bonneville County. And so if you can see where that bulb out happened, it is on both sides of the center line of that roadway. It's just we couldn't take it as far this way as we needed to.
Because then you're going into a city of Irwin property and trying to take some right away.
But eventually, it seems like this is gonna get annexed. Well, okay, they haven't annexed anything in a long time, but
if they did annex, they could address it as the city of Irwin themselves without us being involved.
Well, I'm just trying to understand all these
Let's talk to Keny.
relationship issues. So forgive the naivety of my questioning.
We'll talk to Scott, Lance.
Let me talk to Dave.
I can understand her concern there.
Yes, so can I.
What Dave thinks.
So we'll talk to Scott and see if we can resolve it that way.
Yeah. I will tell you very directly that we did show this very same thing to her before we built it,
Yeah, okay.
but
Well,
it's neither here nor there, so.
yeah, her dad changed the
Yeah,
discussion.
it's not documented, it's not history. All right, thanks for answering my questions, Lance.
Yeah, and I don't have all the answers either. I know that, but I try.
No recording.
Is there anything else, Lance?